the amount of operations carried in this area alone, and the amount of operations carried out across the board is precedent to what happened, you know. And sort of the biggest incident we had here amongst a lot of them was on the 24th of March 1990. It was a Saturday. It was the day before Mother's Day, because I remember it very well. I remember getting stuff from Mum that Saturday. That's how I remember it was. And it took place in Cappagh village. And I sort of still have the paper sort of this was kept from that time, and it gives a sort of a, you know, the headline is IRA ambush sting the Brit assassins. It happened in Cappagh. It was Saturday morning, and the IRA were planning, you know, from listening to people and listening to the papers and listening to those talking to Martin and generally talking to people. The IRA had an operation planned, but it seems that the SAS had planned another attack like Óglaigh, where they were going to try and wipe out, which was their state of play. They were killing volunteers in Tyrone. They weren't arresting them, as happened in Killeigh, happened in Staban, happened in Drumnachilly, and this was a plan. And IRA looked at people all day on that Saturday, had noticed a strange amount of people, and in this area at that time, a strange car, a strange van, a strange person walking was noticeable. People knew who everybody was, they knew the fields, they knew if a gate was open, they knew everything. And obviously at some stage during the day, somebody said to the local IRA, listen here, the strange people driving about, just be careful. So the IRA set up a monitoring situation where, what's the situation, what is going on, and they spotted out a number of vehicles with strange personnel on board which weren't adapt to the area, which weren't part of the area, and they decided to turn the screws, and instead of sit and be ambushed, they decided to ambush the military personnel. It seems the IRA used the car. It was an XR3A. It was a car that the Brits was watching, and they say, well, so we'll turn the clock here, and we'll use it as an ambush tool. So they moved the car about various places through the Óglaigh, Bannockmore. They drove it about, and they recognised who was actually what cars, supposed to stop civilians being hurt in that. And then in Cappagh village they put the plan until operation. The XR3A was sitting somewhere between Malachy Boyles and Cappagh, the monument in Cappagh. There's a wee road up to your left, we call it up the Wee Man's Lane, and a red, as far as reports come, a red Passat or a red car of some kind came through the village, come in that road by Malachy Boyles Bar, and Martin and his comrades were sitting at the bottom of the Wee Man's Lane, sitting adjacent to Cappagh. When the car went by, the XR3 pulled up alongside it, and pulled up behind it, and Martin emerged from the sunroof and started fire on the driver, and according to eyewitness reports, the driver was hit. Now, obviously he kept control of the car, and the gun battle raged through Cappagh village, because local people was out to hear the gun battle. It raged until it got to a place over called Scrog Corner, which is just the edge of Cappagh village. Now, halfway down that road, another soldier appeared out of the boot of the car. So obviously the driver pulled the boot, and he started to open fire, and he hit the car. It started to riddle the car. Martin was hit 4 times at that stage in the right head, in the shoulder, in the stomach, and the leg. He was hit, and another volunteer who was driving the car was hit twice, not severely. Martin, knowing that the situation, I suppose, the other soldier was obviously dead as well, he was lying on the road, knowing the situation was that there was no other moves, they had to leave the area, withdraw. So Martin gave the order to withdraw, and one of the volunteers headed out and commandeered the car. The other volunteers driving the car went up Cappagh village, but because of the gunfire coming from other hidden soldiers in the hedge, Martin stayed back to cover the withdrawal. And once he realised the other volunteer had escaped, Martin then made his escape. He made up Cappagh State. He was wounded 4 times. He was bleeding heavily, but he held on to the weapon. He kept it. He didn't let go because I suppose he realised that somewhere along the line he could run somewhere else. So he kept the weapon, and another volunteer reversed through the gunfire down the street and got him to safety. As soon as this was happening, local people were obviously out watching what was going on. At this stage, local police, or police that was involved in Cappagh, namely Orange Douglas, who was the Cappagh sergeant at the time, who was harassing people, they landed in bulletproof Sierras. They had been sitting at various vantage points, and they came in and told local people who were stopped, there's 2 provos lying dead. You know, we got them. But when they got there, the tables was turned, and they just blacked the whole thing out. They sealed the area off, and there wasn't a word about it till I think Monday, where the words they used in the papers and the words they used in the Republican news who quoted the paper was that an ambush had taken place on an unmarked vehicle, but there was no injuries, which everybody knows to be true. And several weeks later, word came through that 2 soldiers had been killed in Germany in a car crash, which was a common thing as well. In the Christ van in Germany, there was also 2 soldiers killed in Plum Bridge in a car crash. So people put 2 and 2 together. They weren't going to give the IRA a victory. They weren't going to give the IRA any credit for what happened that day, for turning the screws, because of morale and that. So they tasted, but everybody knows, people at Cappagh knows, if you ask anybody what happened that day, everybody knows that the IRA turned the screws on the SAS. And that, you know, and I can remember sitting in the house, and I remember getting a phone call, and there was a policeman rang me. I didn't realise the time that he rang me, and he says, you tell that brother of yours that the SAS don't forget, and that they'll settle all scores. And it just come back to me the day that Martin was killed, that he had said that. You know, I remember him saying that, and I suppose Martin realised that, like, you know, when you take on, especially the SAS or undercover soldiers, your life's in jeopardy. But he come home, resumed active service, and it just showed the calibre of Martin and his dedication to the struggle.